So previously we worked on this onboarding page. Now next we are going to work on login page. We are right now creating just UIs. If you are following me from beginning of this series, so what we are going to do first, we are going to work on the entire UI first. We are going to create all the page UIs. After that, we'll move to the API layer. We'll create our API, and then we'll come back to this mobile app UI, and then we'll fetch the data from API, and we'll make everything dynamic using view models and the states, refit, and all those things. All right. In pages, I'm going to create a new page, new item, .NET MAUI content page .xaml, and here I'll call it login page. Now first we'll come from the onboarding page to this login page. So on onboarding page, if you remember, we had this button get started. So for this, I'm just going to have a clicked event, just new event handler, and we'll come here, we'll simply say await shell.current.go to async, and this is simply going to be a root page, so slash slash, and then name of login page. So this we have added to the routing, that we are saying that you should go to this page using shell navigation, shell routes. So this route must be defined somewhere, but because this is a global route, global routes are automatically defined when we add the page in our app shell. Okay, so here we are going to simply copy the shell content of onboarding page. We'll have our login page, and then this route. So this is what we are using here. Okay, if we do something like the login page 123, then it will not directly work. In that case, we will need to change it exactly like this. So this is what we are doing, but I use this name of so that we can have the IntelliSense and error reporting if there is some change in this login page. If I change the name of this file or something, so it simply gives me at compile time only, so that all these are in sync. All right, so save everything. Now we are good. We have added it to app shell, and on onboarding page we have simply created one event which is actually navigating the application to login page. And then we have this login page. Now we can start working on this login page. Let me close other tabs, and let's hide this so that we can have bigger space. Let me run the application again, and then we'll start working on the design. All right, so our app is here. So let's tap on this get started. We have some error, unable to figure out route for slash slash login page. Why this happened? Because we have this 123. Let's remove this 123, save it, and now we need to restart the app. Let's try it now. I'll tap on this get started, and now we have this login page. Cool. Now here, what I'm going to have one image, that same image, then one login text, and then our form with username, password, and our login button. And then we are going to have a register. If this is a new user, they cannot directly log in. For those users, we are going to have some UI or a button to move the user to register page. All right. So three major things: image, login heading, and then that form. So I'm going to remove this vertical stack layout from here, and I'm going to start with the grid with 3 rows. We can simply say row definitions. Let's have auto, auto, and auto. Okay. And then this main title, let's use just login, not login page. Let this login. Now inside this grid, first thing we need to have an image with source as that social underscore media dot png, this image. Okay. For this main grid, we'll have this as vertical option center so that it is center aligned. All right, we have this image here. On this image, let's have height request 128. I downloaded it as 128, so this is fine. Default is this also, but to sometimes the sizes are very uh, create some problems on different devices. Better to have the size. If you don't have, and if your actual image is of the same size, then it works. Okay, we have this image. After that, and let's set the grid dot row 0, which is default, but I almost set it explicitly. After this image, I'm going to have a label with grid dot row 1, and the text, I'm going to have a hard coded text login. Okay, and same things, I'm going to have horizontal options at center, and then font size as 25, and font attributes as bold. Save everything. And on this row definition and this main grid, let's have row spacing of 20 so that we can have this spacing here. After that, we are going to have our form. For form, I'm going to use our vertical stack layout. Here, I'll say grid dot row. This is the third row, index 2. In here, we are going to have our username, password, and all those things. So I'm going to have label text. We'll say username. Okay, and on this vertical stack layout, we should have it center aligned, or maybe let's have it like this. Now I will modify it. Right now I'm just trying to add everything. So here we have entry, we'll say placeholder, enter username. Okay, save it. Then I need some spacing here, so for spacing we can use our box view, and for the spacing we are going to have it. Okay, for now let's have it box view. Then we'll say height request somewhat 20, and let's have color or background color transparent. It will just add some spacing here, nothing else. Okay, after that we are going to copy this label, paste. For password, here we'll say enter password, and on the second entry we are going to set is password flag to true. Save it. Now we have this username and this password. Now we are going to set a global background color on the pages, so that is going to be applied on all the pages, some light grayish kind of color. Let me check what color we are going to use. I have that written. Let me find that color, or maybe we'll set that later. For this page, let's have white. I think it was white only. So now first thing, we need some spacing, so let's add the some padding on page level only. So we'll say padding 20 on this page. Save it. We have this spacing. Now all these labels, we need all these labels to be of our primary color, and if we want to change that color for some specific label, we'll change that on that label only. So we need global styling. We have two options. Either we can override the style, or if we don't want to add our own style on each and every label, it should get applied to direct labels, all the labels. So we'll go to the resources, styles and styles.xaml. Here we are going to find label. This is label. And here we have this text color. I'm not going to use theme in here. So we can simply remove this theming and we can directly have a static resource and primary color for our labels. Right now, if I show you, these colors has changed. All right. So now let's go back to login page. Here things look fine, but on these entries, we see this thing. Let me set a background color, light golden rod yellow, this color. We are going to use this background color for our entry and editors. Save. And you see the text are here, these entries are here, but this underline kind of thing, this is, I don't like this thing. So how to remove this on Android? I already have a video on my channel. Okay, so you'll see how can we remove these things, and then we can have this background color findable as well for this. I'm going to follow the same approach. You can go to my channel, simply go to videos. Maybe I'm going to add that link in the description box as well. So how to remove underline a border from entry and editor. So this is what we are going to do in this. For explanation, you can go to this video. That's what I'm. Okay, so removing those, we are going to use that thing for our entire application. So for this, let me stop it, and we are going to use custom controls for this. So we have this controls folder. In here, I am going to create, I'm going to have a class. We are going to directly have a class, and let's name it no border entry. The name is up to you. You can name it whatever you want. Let's make it public. And this is going to be a subclass, derived class of entry, so that we can have everything from entry, whatever we have here. Inside this, we are going to have override on handler changed method. Inside this, we are going to set borderless background. Borderless background. How I for all the answers for this thing, I already have that video. I already mentioned. Let's create this method. Private void, and we have this method. Now this is all only going to be applied for Android. Okay, on iOS this underline is not there. So only Android. That means we'll have this conditional compilation. We'll select just if Android, then only do this, whatever we are going to do here. So let me select Android from here so that this put it directly in highlighted color, and we can have IntelliSense and all. Here we'll simply say handler, whatever handler we have. If this is entry handler, we'll call it just entry handler. Save it. Then we'll check if we have set background color or not. If background color is null, then we are going to use entry handler dot platform view. Now we are in Android side, and that thing comes under background tint list. This is of type color state list. So here we are going to say color state list dot value of, we are going to have transparent color here. So we'll say color dot transparent, colors dot transparent. Now this needs Android color. So this is .NET MAUI side of color. So we need to convert it to platform. So we'll simply say dot to platform. Now all these things you can directly copy paste from that previous video which I'm mentioning. Save it. Then same line I'm going to copy, and in else case, if background color is not null, then we are going to use this background color here. Save it. Now set borderless background. We are getting it from here. Then we will do this for if we are dynamically changing background color. Although we are not changing in this particular application, but it's better to have it foolproof. So we'll say on property changed. Here we'll simply check if the property name is equals name of background color, then just call this set borderless background, this thing. Save it. Now this thing also should come only if it is on Android, so there is no point of uh, having it. So we'll simply say if Android, and if, save it, and now we are good. This Android, let's remove this from here, and here let's have it fully qualified name. If you don't want to do this, here also on the top we need to add this if Android, because this namespace exists inside Android only. Alright, so we have this no border entry. We are going to make a replica of this, copy of this, and complete copy, paste it here only for our editor, which we will need later, but we'll have this. So we'll say no border editor, and it will have everything similar to this thing with slight change. It will be inherited from editor. Then instead of I entry handler, it is going to be I editor handler. Just these two changes, nothing else. Save everything. Now we are good. Now on login page, we have one more thing. If you see, we have this box view for our spacing. So this thing also we are going to use a lot of times in our application. It's better to create this also as a control. So in control, I'm going to simply create a class. Let's call it spacer. Okay. This is going to be simply a content view. All right. And inside this, we are going to have a simple box view. I'm having it C# only. This is how you can create C# UIs also, only using C#, no XAML at all. Here we are going to have a public box view get set. This box view we are going to use. So in spacer, we are in this constructor, we are going to say box view equals new box view. Now this box view, the names are same, so let's, instead of box view, let's name the property as box only. Okay, so new box view. And here we are going to set two things. First, background color, which we are setting here as transparent. We'll set it to colors.transparent. Second thing is this height request. So we are going to have this height request as 20. Default value 20. Now I want this thing. For this, let's set this content view for this content. So content property, we are going to set this box. So this is what will go to the XAML. Now what I want, it should have default 20, but I want to give user, the consumer of this control, this spacer control, so that user can also, the consumer can also specify this height request. So how much space the consumer needs. For that, we are going to have a bindable property for this height request. All right, so let's create a bindable property here. First, we are going to have it is going to be a int. Let's have it as space. Okay, then let's create a bindable property here. So we'll say public static read only bindable property, and it is going to have space property, and here we'll say bindable property dot create property name. What is the property name? That this is going to be name of space, this property which we have just created, comma type, return type. What is the return type? So return type is int, so we'll say type of int. Then declaring type, who has created this property, this space property, so this is this spacer. We'll say type of spacer, this is the declaring type. Then we have a default value, now we can have it as 20 here, this default value is okay. And after this default value we are going to have a default binding mode, one way, all these things are fine. We just need to have one more thing, which is property changing and property change. So when this property changed, then we need to create something. So this property changed, if you see, we have binding property changed delegate. Here we'll say on space property changed. We are going to define this method here. Now what is going to be type of this method? For this we need to go to this property changed uh, delegate, we need to see. So this is binding property change delegate. If we go here, we'll see this returns void. So we need to define a method which returns void and have these three parameters. Let's go to the spacer. So on this on space property changed, we are going to generate a method for this. Oh, it automatically created this. All right. The type and everything is here only. All right. Now, whenever the property is changing, binding is changing for this, it will automatically call this thing. Let's move it after this space property. Whenever this is changing, we need to somehow access this space property, or maybe access this box property. Yeah, access this box property and change this hide request. That is what we need to do. So here first we will get this spacer object from this bindable object. Now this is static, this is not directly inside. We need to find a way. For this we can simply say bindable is spacer. This is now our spacer object, this object. What we'll do, we'll simply say spacer dot box, this is this property. We need to modify its height request, so we'll say dot height request. We can set this new value from here, or we have this space property, we can use this. Here we'll say spacer dot space property, because this is property changed, that means the value of this has already been changed. Then this method is getting called, and then we are setting this. Save everything, and now we are good. We created this property, but now these two are not binded with each other. So we have done one side of the things. For this spacer property, we told this that this the property is space for which we are creating this bindable property. But from this space property also we need to tell that you should get and set value from this bindable property and to this bindable property. For this, the getter and setter, these are going to be changed slightly. Do let me know in the comment if you guys are aware of these bindable properties, how these are created and consumed. If not, I can plan a video for this. Okay, so for this get, we can use get value method, and inside this get value we need to provide bindable property, which is the space property. Here we'll say name of, not name of, sorry, space property. Now this returns object, but we need to return int, so we need to typecast it. Same thing with set. we'll say set value, bindable property, and then value. So bindable property, we know this is space property, and value is actually value. So this is set pure C sharp that has a value object. Now save everything. Now we are good. Now we have made it dynamic, binding, and everything. We can now use this space. Alright, so we created these three custom controls: no border editor, no border entry, and this spacer. We are going to use spacer and no border entry on our login page. That thing we are going to do next. These things are in controls folder.